Welcome to another episode of The Pickpocket. Here at The Pickpocket, we utilize the NBA category in the Fanduel app to help you win money. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and also be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. If you are new to the channel, be sure to read this particular page right here. Very important. And also, happy Friday. Also, if you're new to the channel, we provide a lot of mock lineups for you guys that you can use. Feel free to use 90% of a mock lineup as a base and substitute players where you see fit to get your own taste for your own lineup. Drew Holiday is coming off a solid FDP game, but low based on his standards. Expect a much better performance versus woeful Cleveland. Cleveland also puts up a good fight. So it should hopefully push Milwaukee. Chris Paul was not himself last game compared to the recent games. Detroit is the best remedy. Slumping and Stroker with him last time out almost had a triple-double. Clarkson is facing a team that is generous to shooting guards. Cheaper option for Utah, and he performs like a starter. Tyler Hero versus Washington is too easy. He does everything and they do nothing to stop it. Duncan Robinson is not having the best streak, but Washington is your best chance to pick him up with that salary. Washington's defense is atrocious. Durant versus Toronto should make for a good game. Expect high scoring, and that works out for such a lethal scorer like Durant. Zion and Sabonis will be fun to watch. Zion won't be stopped as usual from his numbers. He's a safe pick. Burt should fill in for Gordon again, good value option. And Zubac in this last game should be good versus a small Boston team. Hitter per position lineup. LaMelo has been playing well, but up and down well. He has hung around his average. In some games he explodes. Utah's coming off a back-to-back to help. Kobe White is playing an Orlando team with no point guard. Should help him come back to life. He started off strong and then slumped and slowly picking it back up. Paul George, playoff P, pandemic P, is tired of hearing all the criticism. He's actually cheap compared to his stats lately. Terrence Ross is simply a fill-in against a bad team. He's pretty much a fill-in against a bad team. He's really close to being left off lineups for a minute because he's just been sluggish. Chris Middleton should find his FDP early and easy. Bridges is the all-around player that makes getting FDP easy. Detroit is the perfect team as they are super friendly with small forwards in their FDP. Sabonis, like Zion, should have no issue getting his FDP. He's the number one option, and even if he starts slow, he kicks into high gear at some point. Green is the fill-in, a good value option for this game. Holford is too skilled and good for Minnesota. Centers love Minnesota. Two most expensive lineup, Giannis and Harden. Reggie wasn't great last game. He was awful. He's still starting and playing good minutes. Boston isn't clamping down on point guards. Solid value pick. Harden is playing ridiculous but so expensive. You watch the games and it's like he's not doing much, but by the end of the game, dang near triple-double. Bledsoe is here because of the matchup. He has a favorable matchup. He has a favorable one versus Indiana. He's been solid recently as well. Malik Beasley is also here for his matchup. OKC ranks last in FDP to small forwards, and he's been playing really well. Sneaky well. Justin Holiday is that value option that may get his average, but also has the ability to surprise you for much more. We like this matchup versus New Orleans. Giannis versus Cleveland. The scouting report for this is hope to get him in foul trouble. Other than that, grab your popcorn. Blake Griffin may surprise you on this list. He has a few days of rest, and Phoenix was his second highest FDP of the season. Kelly Olynyk is good because this could be a good game. He can get his average. Player per game lineup. We finally gave him to Theo Maledon. He has been balling and he's playing a favorable matchup in Minnesota. Solid great value pick. Kyrie Irving is facing a Toronto team that hasn't been playing much defense lately, and Kyrie has been on fire. Yes, that's DaVincio in there, only because it's Cleveland and he's playing heavy minutes. Heavy minute guys are usually good picks, especially versus bad teams. Gordon Hayward has been consistent in providing good FDP for his salary. He should be able to continue that He should be able to continue that versus Utah, who's off a back-to-back and his former team. Josh Jackson has slowly begun to step it up lately. Not the most ideal pick for this game, but we wanted Hayward, so we were left picking Jackson for this game. Serge Ibaka, also not an ideal player for this game, but his numbers lately make him perfect for a value pick. Those picks that aren't ideal but worth value picks are worth it as we think. Vooch will have yet another good game and some. Chicago finds ways to lose. Orlando isn't that great themselves, but Vooch is playing incredible. Good matchup lineup. These are guys who have good matchups based on FDP given up by their opponent, or in Kawhi's case, just no answer for him. Brogdon and Anthony both face bottom of the league teams in points allowed to point guards. Both are good options regardless, and both could see good games leading to more minutes and more FDP. Bradley Beal is going against the surprising worst ranked team versus shooting guards, allowing the most FDP out of all teams. He would need to be Super Beal to keep this close. We have no doubt that he will definitely be Super Beal. Michael Bridges wasn't the greatest in the last matchup, but he's finding a groove lately. The remaining players have been highlighted as having a good matchup in prior lineups. The rest of this presentation, you are going to see these symbols. Be sure to refer back to the definition of these symbols. A lot of these symbols will do the explaining for you. Cheat sheet number 1. Our sleepers here. We got Wright, Bridges, and Blake Griffin. Wright is an all-around guard and typically provides good FDP based on that. Bridges is filling in for Washington as far as usage. He balled out last game. Griffin played well last game versus Phoenix, and he's off a few days rest. So the knees should be right for Blake Griffin. All right, game stack. Toronto versus Brooklyn. You got Van Vliet, Durant, Green, and Baines. Baines is probably the biggest question, but Brooklyn somehow allows good FDP to centers. They run a small lineup often. We have some good options surrounding this stack as well. Diallo will be the sleeper. Good minutes versus a bad team. Sleepers. All right, sleepers. Anthony, you got Anthony, White, and Zubac. Anthony and White will both be on each other, likely to get the most out of each other pretty much. Close game, high usage players. Zubac can be slept on because he isn't the big name on the team, but Boston has no real bigs. He should be able to provide FDP with blocks, boards, and some assists. Bogdanovic isn't your usual value player, but for his salary, you can consider him one in the small forward position. Consistent over 20, and this game may provide him with more based on that pace of the game pretty much. This is the last lineup that we have for you guys. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, comment on the video any questions or concerns you may have, and thank you for choosing another episode of the Pickpocket DFS.